Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you guys have had a great week so far. Glad to be back here again. Give me just a few moments and we'll get started pretty soon. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be going based on what you were voting in the polls earlier yesterday. I meant to post a little sooner, so today will actually be a little bit of a two for this. So today I'm going to try to do two characters today instead of just one this time. And so the first I'm going to do is the first was the number one choice most of you had picked, which was Tiger for American Tail. But after that, the next one I'm going to be doing is Haycith, Hippo from Fantasia, since that was the second most voted choice. So yeah, today is going to be a twofer. In fact, let me just get this pencil sharpened. We'll get started very soon. Alright, so I'm probably okay with not doing it. Just gonna start with a light sketch here. A lot of characters I selected in the poll this time, these are ones I've been meaning to do for a while anyway, so this is perfect. Of course, I'm gonna start with a very light sketch of him here. Plus, it's been a while since I did a Don Bluth character too. Maybe he's probably greeting himself, saying hello. And I'll just get his little tail. Just being very light as I'm starting out. Let me check on something. Let me just get his facial features here in the middle. Yeah, sorry I haven't been here in a while though. I've been pretty busy as of lately. Actually, let me bring these ears up a bit because I know with him he's got pretty big. He's got pretty like large amount of space between his eyebrows and his eyes. He's got that mustache. They got these two tufts of hair. They're almost kind of like ears in a way too, and they're on top of his actual ears. They got two smaller tufts going out. We kind of trim down his arms a little bit here. His fingers. belly is. Get that right here. Then get his little feet. Oh, now it's starting to look like him. Look like him now, don't you think? So let's go refine a little bit more with the face. Bring out this mustache out a little more and add a little bit extra curve to it. Add his little teeth. And let me kind of bring these in just a bit more. There we go. Let me break out his ears. Add a little bit of tufts on the large, like make little scruffy bits to the large tufts of his hair. I think it's been a while since I did a Doodle character on the stream. I think the last one I did, I forgot which one it was. But I think it was one of you all recommended back when I was doing the characters in alphabetical order. So it's pretty good to kind of turn to one of these again. Especially this guy, he was one of my favorites from the original movie. In fact, personally, I think for me, out of all the like Don Bluth films that came out, honestly, American Tail is my favorite. There's something about it like that works, you know, like about it. The animation is wonderful. The songs, while not all of them are great, they're done with a lot of passion, and it's just this really simple, heartwarming story. Have his tail go on in the back. There we go. So now that we've done that, let's go and actually start bring this guy out a bit more with a pen. Let me just one more. I should have had his pen on me for a moment. Where did it go? Ah, here it is. So I'm having come face where musty. I'm gonna have him go out before I go down. He's got a very distinct handlebar mustache. You know, handlebars that definitely would have been of the time, like since the original movies take place around the turn of the century. Get small eyes while we're at it. And plus, you know, with this character Tiger, and since he's voiced by Dom DeLuise, you know, and Dom DeLuise, he was always a master of kind of making characters sound really likable just when, you know, his simple performances. Because they did quite a number of because it was pretty much like the main, like one of the go-to like voice actors like for Don Bluth, like throughout the '80s. Because I know him here was American. American Tail was Tiger. It was Itchy and All Dogs Go to Heaven. I'm trying to remember who he did in A Secret Nymph because he was in that one too. Then of course he voiced the title character of Trove in Central Park, which no one remembers for good reason. And I want to say it was. I'm trying to think. Did he do a few others afterward as well? At least with Don Bluth, I'm trying to remember. Because I know he did other stuff like outside that too. Because I know he also did this one-off character. One really one because he even had second appearances. He voiced Kusi, who from Dexter's Lab. She's basically Dee's imaginary friend. And he appeared for about 2 episodes, but he was a lot of fun. I got a new XP Pen Art Club on Amazon. Bracelets on my right hand. Oh, that's great. Glad it's come on pretty well. Yeah, I'm honestly that's something I might need to get around to doing one of these days. Getting a new art glove. I need to probably getting an art glove, but also consider getting a new tablet too. Because like, granted, the one I have, it works okay. It works okay, but it's definitely getting up there in years. Alright, so now that I got that done, let me go ahead and actually kind of like go over these outlines a bit. Bring out a little arch between his eyebrows. In fact, I think I'll add a little extra arch up here. Let me add some of these extra scruffs here at the top. And I know like, with American, I think there's been at least about 4 movies. Because of course you had the original, you had Five Goes West. It's honestly one of the few like Don Bluth sequels I think is just as good as the first one. You had that. Then I think it was 2 more. I think it was Return to Manhattan Island, and I think it was 1 more. In fact, let me see if I can look it up real quick. Because I think in all there was at least like 4. Yeah, here we go. So it's 2 direct-to-DVD to video sequels: American Tail Treasure of Manhattan Island and American Tail The Mystery of the Night Monster. And also, to my surprise, I didn't find out too much race. They actually had a very brief like TV series about those American Tales. I think it was a very short-lived series. I'm looking. I think right now I'm kind of drawn this. I'm looking up on Bibles Goes West. So one thing I didn't realize until just now that I'm looking at this. So apparently, back when it came out in '91, it came out right on the same time as Beauty and the Beast, which is like, at that time, if you were gonna go up against Disney, it was almost a death sentence if you didn't like really bring your A game. Of course, that was kind of a period where like really like. Since Disney set the bar so high, as far as like anime films go, like anything that was seen as below average, like it went up to snuff. Which I think is a little unfair, for the sequel. But the sequel is one of the few things where it does right, because it doesn't completely try to copy the first one. Like it has its own like feel, because whereas the first one is more like an adventure kind of adventure movie. Like this one's more like an action, more like a western type of story. And on top of that, I think this one's definitely more of a musical compared to like the first one because it's got a little bit more, a lot more songs. But also the songs, I think a lot of them in sequel are a lot more catchier than the first. It's actually funnier too. Yeah, and I think the studio that made it, like since Don Bluth wasn't behind it, I think it was Amblimation. I think that's what it was. And honestly, that studio, like, it's a shame that she kind of went out of business so quickly, because I think they only did like three movies. I think it was eh. I think it was Five Goes West. That was their first one. That was a good like moderate hit. Because let's see what else. Yeah, because they only had like three movies. It was only American Tail, Five Goes West. Then they had We're Back, a dinosaur story. That one didn't do as well. Yeah, that didn't do as well. Then there was Balto, which is the very last one. That didn't do as well either. And pretty much after Balto, once the studio shut down, they went out of business. But luckily, I think a lot of that, from what I heard, a lot of the animators they ended up going to, like the DreamWorks. Some went, some went to other studios. So at least like some good came out of it. Well, I wouldn't say something good, but at least the animators were able to find work because like it was clearly like the studio they had like the animating shops, like their stuff looked really good. It was just something about it. It's like with their movies, they didn't they were able to get that big like box office success that they wanted. Let me get his whiskers while we're at it. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go and color this guy in. Give me just one moment. Find it. Where'd the cat go for this thing? Hang on. I just had it a moment ago. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. All right, perfect. All right, here we go. I think I'll start with the brighter parts of the body first. I'm just gonna start off, with his little mustache. Since those are the brightest parts of the body. And funny with a lot of these those animation movies, like say from Five of the Balto, I remember cartoon they used to air them like all the time on they had a block called cartoon theaters. And weirdly enough, I didn't really probably watch them all that much when they were on that block because for some reason when I was a kid, I really didn't have short attention when it came to movies. In fact, a lot of those movies I actually didn't end up getting around to seeing much later. I think when I was a little older, I think I was back when I was watching Toon Disney, and at that point, like these kind of older movies are really kept being phased out. I think I'll go over a bit here to give like an orangish tint to it. Yeah, for any folks who, yeah, honestly, on a side note, if you're watching the American Tail franchise, if you haven't seen the first one, definitely recommend. But I also recommend the second one too. The second one is one of the few I think I've few Doodle sequel that's actually just as good as like the first. And I want to say the same probably for the Land Before Time sequel because I do recall like add like what the 13 different like series that are out there. I do recall there being at least one or two that were pretty good. But of course, it's been years since I've seen them. I always can't help thinking about what was that video that Jenny Nicholson did where she actually like talks about she watched and reviewed like all the Land Before Time movies. And funny enough, that was actually one of the very first like videos I saw from her. Cause basically she's kind of got there and she talked about, in fact, she even talked about ones I hadn't seen in years, like the Great Valley. And then there's other ones, later ones I hadn't even heard of, like the Land of the Great Dinosaurs. And I don't even think they mentioned the whole TV series, because I remember there was a whole TV series that was out for a while too. It is amazing like how out of all the shows like of all the like franchises like, from Don Bluth Studios, like that one ended up being the one that ended up became like a franchise juggernaut. Because the only thing that came close, American Tail with their 4 movies and all those games, they tried to have something little going for a moment too. Because I know American Tail, they had American Tail 2, then they had the TV series, then they had the Christmas special like later on as well. But of course, like, also a lot of these times when they start really making all these sequels, this is kind of like during that whole like late '90s, early 2000s, where pretty much any like animated franchise, like if it had some sort of profit or audience with it on audience where it was really successful on home video, there was a good chance it was gonna have like a whole like buttload of like direct to DVD like sequels. Just giving this a nice even. I'm probably gonna go over to this yellow because I know it's a little reddish. Right now, technically, I think this is more like a scarlet, like vermilion color, rather than an actual orange. Oh, excuse me. So sorry. Alright, that was good. So let me just kind of go over it more with this gold. Give this more of like a gold. Make this more of an orange type of cat. And speaking of, I still hear they are still working on that I think I heard they are still working on that Dragon's Tail. Not Dragon's Tail. I didn't mean to say that. Dragon's Lair movie. Because I think that's still still in development. I hope it does, eventually come out though. Because I know he's been trying to kind of get that off the ground like for a while. And I know it did get like Kickstarter, I think, or some guy got a fundraiser for it a while back. Forgot when it was like exactly. But I feel like regardless of ever what he ends up making or how it turns out, I do want I do want to get a chance to see him make it because he's getting up there. Because I think he's like in his 80s now. And even if the film ends up not being great, I would just love to actually be a chance to at least see him another do it one more time. Just be able to do like one like really good film like before he goes. I know it sounds incredibly heavily morbid, but it's been a while, since we had great animated films, kind of like what how he did, because with Don Bluth he was kind of came to a period where I think Disney kind of fell out of their path. They weren't really making as many films, and with him he kind of wanted to really bring animation, at least with Disney. He wanted to kind of make the films that he felt Disney kind of strayed away from well, at the time, recent years, right, at the 60s and 70s, and kind of go back to make the type of films they were known for. Then, of course, flash forward to once his films after set, then Disney caught wind of it and they ended up outdoing him. So let's color his tongue while we're at it. Get his ears. Don't have a purple in it as a don't really have a purple on me that really matches how he looks in the original, so I'm probably going to what's the word I'm looking for? I have to make a little substitute by mixing a few colors together, so I'll use this bluish indigo color, and I do have a magenta on hand I can use. I would have just used a straight magenta, but it's kind of a bright one too. So I figured going with this will kind of darken it up a bit. No, I haven't forgot about the section where his eyes are. We get the inside around his eyes. We do that with kind of a burgundy-like color. I know it's a little darker. In fact, I'll probably go over with a darker color just a little bit. Yeah, in fact, let me see if I got darker. Okay, here we go. I'll use this blue-green. I'll kind of darken it just enough where it's not too distracting. Yeah, sometimes if you want to darken some colors, it's always helpful to use some complementary colors to get some nice browns, or to just kind of darken something. Alright, that looks pretty good. So, give me just a few moments and I'm going to get started with our next sketch pretty soon. Haycith Hippo from Fantasia, so give me just a few moments and we'll get started on that. Alright, I'm back. So, for our next one, this is actually our second voted choice from the polls. It's Haycith Hippo from Fantasia. For those who probably remember, that was from the Dance for the Hours sequence. This is probably close towards the second half of the original movie. I would forget that, like, since the movie was so long, it even had its own like little intermission. Then let me see what type of pose I want to do, because I remember, like Secret, especially for her, like she had a lot of like really great poses. Let me see which one I want to do. I'm just kind of like brainstorming as I'm kind of lightly sketching him out. I'll have his leg down here. I'm just gonna bring out her snout. I do have more for her arms. Bring that out here. Yeah, in fact, let me bring this down a bit more. Bring her waist down just a little bit more. Because I do want to make sure she has enough for like her ballerina outfit. The bottom part first, and we had enough for a mouth at the bottom. And it has been years since I've seen, like the whole like the full movie of Fantasia. And luckily, I have the I actually have this movie on DVD at home. And funny enough, I remember this being one of the first movies I remember really watching as a kid. I remember really liking. And it's funny, I just thought about how with the new like Snow White movie coming out, how that's come out, and pretty much everyone for the most part has really been hating it. Maybe because a lot of people think it's probably a movie that you consider one of those untouchable movies that you don't want to remake. And a part of me wonders like what huge disaster would be if they tried to do like a live action remake of like Fantasia. Because the thing about with Fantasia, it's very different from these other disciplines where all the other movies, they're definitely more like fables turned into like these very like, almost family friendly like fun films. Whereas like Fantasia, that was more like an art film in a way. And even then, it's like a lot of people don't really get it. And even like back then, people didn't get it much because because even though it made money, it didn't really make as much as they wanted to go since it went over budget. And so if you were to actually do like something like a remake to it, you have to understand it's not just the movie itself. It's also like an art film in a way too. Because there was like Fantasia 2000, and while I would say it wasn't as good, it still got pretty close. Because you could definitely tell a lot of like love and care went into making that one good. Even if they do little fan service, like how they even end up employing the Sorcerer's Apprentice sequence in the movie. But then again, I can't really blame it. It's a good sequence. It's an iconic sequence. So it's not surprising they want to go ahead and just actually do it twice. little tail at the bottom. Thing of her back, think of her back shoe kind of like sliding back. Think of her other shoe going forward. Let me see. Let me kind of look. These shoes aren't looking just quite right for me. Let me kind of work on for a little bit more. The other thing is, I know with her care, with her design, she's got a lot of like different folds. Because just like real hippos, like they have a lot of folds that kind of go around their body. Okay, that looks a little better. Alright, good. Okay, now it looks good. Now it's closer to how I want it to look like. So I'm kind of using different screenshots of reference. I didn't want to just copy just one pose like exactly, because I kind of want to get form for the actual body itself. The nostrils. Let me kind of bring out his snout back out a bit more. Can't get the rest of her folds here. I think that's looking pretty good so far. So, let's go and actually start rigging her out. Now I remember this particular secret. I used to have I think I might still have this probably in storage somewhere. I had a copy of Preston Blair's book of animation. And for those who know Preston Blair, he was like an old Golden Age animator. He animated for like with MGM, but he also animated for Disney. In fact, I think he ended up animating actually one of the sequels actually here in Fantasia of Dance of the Hours. I think it was one of the sequences he did where she's actually dancing with one of the alligators in that sequence. And it's such a and it's kind of beautiful when like you see just a sequence of drawings, that he had made, like for the whole scene. I think it's all like maybe just keyframes. Because with keyframes, those are basically kind of like the ones for the main pose, like the main poses. That's usually what the lead animal will do. And once they establish the key poses, then they'll probably go back, or at least they'll have like an image where go and actually draw like draw the frames in between like those main poses. So that way, they flow smoothly from like one frame to the next. Let's get our two. We get our eyelashes. Let's get little folds in her hair. Get the folds like in her arms. But I just need to get around to kind of rewatching one of these days. Because it's kind of a long, it is a pretty long movie though, but it's got a lot of great passion to it. I know on the DVD that I have, it was like, I think it was the 60th anniversary. It was either 50th or 60th. I think it was the 60th anniversary of the movie. And it comes with 3 discs, because I know the first disc, I think it's just, first disc is actually like the original, it's like the original movie. The second disc is like the making of the movie itself. And I think the third one, it's all like immediately like concept art, like more behind the scenes stuff. And what's cool is that it even has a commentary. I think it's got 3 different commentaries. I think it's got one from animation stories. I want to say it's Jerry Beck. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's been a while. But what's also interesting, it even has some commentary like from Walt Disney himself, actually talking about the movie, which I think is a really neat touch. Because like one is like it's really rare, like for them to actually have a full-on commentary done by the actual creators themselves. But it's also kind of fitting that they would have that, like, since this was kind of like his big pet project. It was like at all films that he did, he was really passionate about. And it was also ones he was really disappointed when it really didn't perform like the way that it did. I mean, it didn't perform the way they would have hoped. Because after it bombed, I don't think they didn't really do anything like this grand like this for a while. Because of course a lot of things happened. Of course, once it bombed, then of course then World War II got started, and they started downsides, and of course they had the Union strike that happened as well. So there was a lot of stuff that ended up kind of like happening, leading up and like after the film dropped. I know even before like Fantasia 2000 came, I think there were some attempts to try to get something off the ground. Because I think they had one sequence that's called Claire de Pume, which was like a swan. That was actually a sequence that actually was in process when they were gonna make a follow up to it, but I think they ended up scrapping it. I think what ended up happening, they ended up using it in one of their later like 40s films. Like I think it was Make Mine Music. That's what it was, and they actually ended up using it there. Kind of thicken up some of these lines I got here. Let me get the inside of her mouth as well. Alright, so that looks good. So let me go and actually start filling in our outlines. Yeah, I figured these two were actually going to be fairly quick. That's why I decided to end up doing 2 today. Also, I want to try to get to today because I will let you guys know from a heads up. I may not be able to do a stream next week, and if I do, it probably won't be on a Saturday. Because what's been going with me as of lately is that I'm actually going to be moving very soon. I'm actually moving back from my old relative's place. So so of course, what I'll be busy for the next couple of weeks is really kind of like moving stuff, adding, my place and setting them up there. So, and even then, once I've said it'll probably be a while before I start streaming again. Once I've really started moving, because of course, I have to get everything set up and I have to make sure all my sound equipment works properly at the new place where I'm at. I know I'm probably just kind of rambling for a bit, but it's just gonna be it's gonna be a while before I really get back to streaming once I start moving. Because basically what I'm doing right now, since I got a lot of stuff, I'm basically gonna try to move a little bit of stuff for each week, steadily getting stuff either at the house or just giving it away. Coloring her eyes. And also, on a slightly unrelated note, I actually did end up seeing the new Looney Tunes with the day the Earth blew up. I went ahead and actually went to see in theaters again earlier this past Monday, because I think where I am, it's about to go out of theaters again, because I know I checked the show times. I think they had play until like the 3rd. And so I figured, let me go and at least see it now before it goes out of theater, because I think last I checked, I think it's at $10.5 million at the box office. In fact, let me look at that real quick. Yeah, cause I think even where I am, I think the only closest place that's playing, I think is one out in Tucker, Alpharetta. Where I am, that's a good couple of miles out for where I am. That's almost like a 30-40 minute drive. And even when I went to go see, it was at a movie fair. It was actually about a mile down the street from where I am, and it was the only one that was actually in town that I could actually go see it. Yeah, I think right now it's at $10.9 million. So technically, you could say it's a flop because it had a $15 million budget. But at the same time, I feel like that it's done pretty well, especially consider the fact that it really didn't have a lot of marketing. The fact that it really had the marketing and the fact that it still performed as well as it did, I think that in a way it is a success. Especially since now it's the catch up, acquiring the rights, Coyote vs. Acme, and now they're planning on finally releasing that movie. So that's wonderful. But also it proves that despite hires at Warner Bros., I think there is still an audience for hand drawn animation like this. Let's get her feet while we're at it. Let's get the inside of her mouth. Alright. Alright, so let's go ahead and color her in while we're at it. I do have a burgundy color I can use here. Okay, perfect. I would say even the movie when I saw it this time around, I still enjoyed it. I think still enjoyed it second time around as I did the first. Might want to use a darker brown to kind of go around some of the outer edges. So right now I'm just going to go over just one color. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do for a tutu though, because I know in the original movie, it's really clear. it's cream, but it's really like a it's like a clear like see-through like tutu. But I know in other concept art I've seen sometimes it's pink. But I'll decide what I'm gonna do once I get around to it. Yeah. And plus, it's been getting back to movie. Plus, it's been a while, like since I had seen a movie I was like that excited to see. And also that, like, also the first time in a while, like I seen a movie where, where I feel like, I don't mind going to theaters to see this twice. Because I want to say the very last movie I ever saw like twice in theaters on my own volition. It had to be front of it was Sausage Party. Now, granted, looking back at it now, I don't think it's that great of a movie, but it was one of the few. But that was probably one of the most recent of movies like where I saw it something twice, at least up until today when I saw like the day the Earth blew up. I tell you, it's been such a long time. Like, not such a long since I seen a Tristan movie, but also into a movie where I actually was excited to see one. Because I think the last movie where I went to go see a movie and I was like genuinely excited to go see it was probably had to be Endgame. But of course, like that's a pretty easy choice. Just about everyone who was like familiar with Marvel was excited to go see Endgame. Because at that point, like they're still at the top of their game, and you see like every movie they're making was like a hard hitter. Now, like, they're still doing okay, but of course, I think most people say, a lot of their movies are kind of starting to kind of feel the same now. Now. Let me just get a little darker around her arms here. Just kind of darker on these arms just a bit more here. Alright. Now that I've done that, let me go over with a darker shade of brown. And I'm just gonna lightly go over, what burgundy we laid down here. But I know with Disney, I think one thing they probably should actually start doing again, and I don't know if they're, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up start doing, if they start re-releasing their old films. That's before, because even before the home video, that's what they used to do all the time. Like, I think it was every 7 to 8 years, they would re-release, like their classic movies, and they would always have a pretty good sized turnout every time they would. Because of course, a theaters movies gonna be theaters for like a certain amount of time. Of course, once it's out, it's done. That's it. You don't really see it again until if it plays on TV. And of course, like for a while, like it was a long time before Disney movies that end up being on television. Apparently, like that was usually by design, where they didn't want people to actually like see them on theater because they didn't want to kind of cheapen, cheapen the experience. They wanted people to see them in theaters as they were intended. Of course, that's now they're realizing, like once they realize they can make a lot more money, people can see on their home screen. That's why it's not surprising that once they start release their classic movies on home video, they end up doing really well. Because while people would love to see them in theaters, there's also a good amount of people that love to see them at home as well. So there's still room for both. Because it's true, because granted, it's true. Like some films definitely hit much differently if you watch them on the big screen. Because I know, like even when even not too long ago, when I went to go see Die Hard when it was re-released in theaters, actually about a year or two ago, I tell you, it was a different experience, you know, like you watch on the big screen, especially like since it was like the second time I'd really like watched the whole movie. Yeah, just trying to give this a nice, even consistency and layer. I'm just kind of turning around as I'm kind of like going over it. And speaking of looking at the art glove thing, speaking of that, I did get some new like pens from one of my day job at Publix. They had some of these new like little like ballpoint pens that are in different colors. I figured I'll try about it and see. Cause honestly, I tend to have a bad habit of like buying like so many like cheap, like inexpensive like art supplies. Like, cause even though I got art supplies I can use already, like whenever I see some art supplies, I think that will be good to use to work with, and especially at a pretty good price. I always like, you know, I gotta go and get it. Now realizing I have some stuff at home that I barely touched, so I always try to do like I make sure I use up stuff I have before I get some new ones, or worst case scenario, if I know I'm probably not going to use it at all, you know, I'll just give away to Goodwill. In fact, that's something I did think about a few months ago, where when I was getting ready to stuff to give away to Goodwill, a good chunk of the stuff, you know, it was actually just art supplies. So I figured even if I don't get to use all the art supplies I have, I figure like anyone else out there that wants to get into crafting and arts themselves, you know, now they'll be able to do it themselves, do it as well. And of course, once I'm done, you know, drawing this, I do have a few things I want to kind of show y'all as well, kind of what I've been up to. Because I've been busy with work and moving as of late, I hadn't had a chance to really like do as much sketching as I would have liked. They colored her lips. We get the inside of her mouth. Oh, I think I realized. I think I drew a tooth on the wrong spot. Oh, did I? No, I guess I did alright. That's right. Yeah, I think I did okay for the tooth. Because I know, you know, in real life, hippos, they have a lot of teeth inside their mouths. Like, it's almost kind of scary when you look inside like a real hippo's mouth, because they have all these like really hard, jagged teeth inside. It's honestly not surprising when you read up on hippos. They're actually considered one of the most dangerous animals in wildlife. Because even though they're pretty big and kind of slow, like they got like some powerful jaws. And if you try to get in a fight with them, they will win. Let's get her little ballet shoes. You know, I think what I will do here, I think for her, since even though it's see-through, her original skirt in the movie kind of has like a yellowish, almost cream colored tint to it. So I'm just gonna go with a light. I'm just gonna go with a light layered yellow here first. And then I'm gonna go back over again with with the pencil. Use a different brown here. Where's the one I had? Yeah, here we go. Here we go. I'll use the other brown to add some little underlaying shadows. Alright, so I believe that is it for Haycith Hippo. So we got our two characters in together, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed watching me draw her. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching me draw Tiger as well. And see, I told you I wanted to do kind of like a double feature for this one. So I'm glad you guys really enjoyed, watching me draw these two. So in the meantime, I'm gonna show you guys, what I've been up to as of lately. So I haven't done too much, as far as sketches go, because I know here's like a sketch I did with a guy I saw at the grocery store. I might do that for a full sketch drawing. So I haven't really done all that much. I know here's a sketch I did for an animatic I did not too long ago. I synced it up to classic scene from National Lampoon's Vacation, where the main character Clark, he's kind of losing it because his family, they don't want to do the vacation anymore, and he's kind of talking of not doing it. So that one was a lot of fun. So in case you guys haven't seen it already, I definitely recommend you go check it out, because it's definitely far more ambitious one as far as doing animatics. Here's some pre-sketch I did beforehand. And also, here's some other, drawings, that I've done. Here's something I did of, I did my Uncle C. Manny. Just a big comic in April Fool's type of deal where he said he's not going to do comedy more. He said he's just kidding. The bump blows up. And, of course, at the on-time result right here. So, that was, actually a lot of fun to work on. And of course, not that much, just more scribble-related stuff. More scribble stuff. And I think that's pretty much it, really. I haven't really done, like I said, I haven't really done too much, just some old pastel stuff right here. I haven't really done too much, as of lately, as far as when it comes to, doing more, full drawings. But hopefully, I should have some more coming in later on, soon, later on this upcoming week. So, guys, I hope you all really enjoyed watching me draw these two guys, and hopefully, I may not be able to draw again on the same time on this upcoming Saturday. I'll probably do it on a Friday instead, but I'll let you guys know what I'll be doing on that week. And until then, guys, I hope you all have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you again next time.